All right, so daily time frame pulled up here on NQ, daily time frame pulled up here on ES. So every day I like to chart out my previous day high and my previous day low, and I like to see which side are we more likely to draw to, right? Which side of liquidity. Currently, we look like we are more likely to draw to the sell side, to our previous day low, right? We got displacement of our previous day low, strong down close candle yesterday as we expected. We expected that drop that happened. And right now, we do look like we have more bearish momentum. We look like we have more inclination, we have more bearish sentiment on the daily time frame to come down and grab sell side. So let's find out what else we have down here. We have this daily busy right here. Morning, Jack. Yeah, so we got this daily busy here. We got a daily busy here. Technically a daily BPR right here. So we've got some levels. We have these lows all the way down here, which would be, external liquidity down here at the bottom of that daily busy. And then looking at ES, same thing on the daily time frame. We look, more likely to draw to our previous day low than our previous day high right now. That is what we're looking like. We didn't get displacement of our previous day low yesterday, but we're still looking pretty bearish here overall. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. And what we can see is we left behind this big 4-hour SIBI right here. Big 4-hour SIBI. Right here. This looks like a level that if we were to test, we would trade into it and get a strong reaction off of it, right? That's what it looks like to me. We also have these relative equal highs. We already tapped into that 4-hour SIBI and we saw a very strong reaction off of it after we tapped into it, right? So now we have these highs right here, so we can even chart out these highs as a possible place that price might want to run to before seeing a drop. So now we have that buy side liquidity right here. Previous day low liquidity right here, right? And then we see all these relative equal lows down here in that daily busy. So what else do we have? Well, we've been inside of this daily or this 4-hour busy for a while, right? We've been in this 4-hour busy for pretty much all night right here. Pretty much the whole night we've kind of been sitting inside of this level. So what we're going to want to see is for price to really start pushing through this 4-hour busy, because it's acted as some pretty strong support in the past. Every time we've tapped into it, we have not been able to keep pushing through. So this is a level we're going to want to see price push through if the shorts are going to continue. Okay, so that's the 4-hour on NQ. Let's look at the 4-hour on ES as well. Right, same thing on ES. We had this 4-hour SIBI up here. We tapped into it. Right, we tapped into that SIBI, and we saw a strong rejection off that SIBI, right? We have these equal lows down here at previous day low. These are some very strong equal lows that I do expect price to come back for or to trade down and grab. Look at these two equal lows on the 4-hour. I would expect ES to come down and grab those equal lows. We don't have the same equal lows on NQ. NQ kind of came down a little bit further, but on ES it looks like we are going to try and come down for those. So still looking bearish over there. Let's look at the 1-hour time frame here on NQ. You can see how choppy and how much accumulation we have on the 1-hour time frame. Look at this. This is some crazy accumulation. So when we see accumulation like this leading into New York Open, I do like to see a strong manipulation move after this and then some follow through, some distribution, some expansion. So just looking at everything I'm seeing right now, my expectation would be for us to manipulate up and possibly grab some highs, possibly trade into the 4-hour SIBI, and then see expansion down to sell side coming down for previous day low, right? So we're just kind of stuck in this accumulation range right here on the hourly. So we're going to need to see us break out of this range at the lows or see a manipulation through the highs up here like that, come up and grab some buy side, and then see that fall through down to sell side, right? So what are our sell side targets overall so far that we have found that we would expect price to come to? Previous day low and possibly down to these lows, down into this daily imbalance down here, right? So those are kind of our two main sell side levels we're looking at today, as well as these hourly lows right here. And then on buy side, we're looking for this high up here going into the 4-hour SIBI. All right, so that's what I'm looking at here on the hourly. When we see accumulation like this, we want to see some kind of AMD usually, right? So accumulation, manipulation, distribution. That's something I'll be looking for. If we don't want to do that, then we might just wait for the breakout, see us break out to sell side, and look for an entry off of that breakout. Let's see if ES has the same accumulation. We do have that same accumulation. We also have SMT divergence. Look at up here. Look at this high that was formed right there. Okay, so we have SMT because ES fails to sweep that high, and NQ came up and swept the high, right? So we have some bearish SMT already on the hourly time frame. Bearish SMT. So let's chart that out right here. All right, so we got that bearish SMT here. We've already seen a strong reaction back down after getting that SMT, after sweeping that buy side. So still some bearish sentiment in the market here. Even after we had such a big drop yesterday, I'm expecting something similar today. I don't know if we will drop as aggressively as we did yesterday, but I'm still expecting some bearish price action. Now let's look at the 15-minute. Let's look for our previous session highs and lows. Right, so look over here. This was actually our Asia high that we swept. So Asia high already got swept on NQ. Okay, what are these lows? What are these equal lows down here? If you look over here, this is actually almost our London low. It's technically not our London low because it's 15 minutes before the kill zone. But this would have been our London low right here, and we've already swept our London low. But these equal lows are very strong level of sell-side liquidity. So whenever we see equal lows like this, we expect price to come back for those pretty aggressively, right? We want to see price come back pretty aggressively for those equal lows. So let's look over here at ES as well. This was our Asia high up here that has not been swept. So Asia high has not been swept on ES, but it has on NQ. Right, so that's that big SMT divergence we were talking about. It was that Asia high level. And then if we keep going further down, we can see that this was actually our London low down here. That's already been swept. Our London high has already been swept. So really, everything is still telling me pretty bearish right now. Still looking pretty bearish. So what we want to look at as well is our 15-minute imbalances. Are we going to start closing below our imbalances? Like this 15-minute busy here. We're still respecting that level right now, but if we're going to start inversing that, going right into market open, well, I would expect us to start dropping pretty aggressively right after market open, right? And then another thing that we can look at is if we close below these lows, that would be a bearish breaker on the 15-minute time frame with a high, low, higher high. And if we displace those lows, that's a 15-minute bearish breaker. We'd expect a continuation down to sell side, down to previous day low. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at right now on NQ and on ES. So like I said before, my bias right now is still bearish, still very bearish, still expecting us to drop. But we do have, let's see what news we have coming out today. Anything big? We have, we already had actually our NFP, non-farm employment change. That came out positive this morning, pre-market. And then we also have some crude oil inventories. There's an orange folder event coming out at 10:30. And then we have a bunch of FOMC members speaking today. So they could play an effect into our market today. But overall, I'm still thinking about our fundamental analysis of what is going on around the world, just like yesterday. What is going on with our port strike, just like yesterday. Expecting us to sell off again that's my expectation here. But like I always say, guys, if let's say we react to news stronger, let's say that our NFP data plays a bigger factor right now, well, then we just adjust our plan and start looking for longs, right? And where would we be looking for longs? Up to these highs and then up to those highs, right? But for right now, still bearish, biased, and we're just going to have to wait because so far pre-market, we are pretty seek and destroy on the 15-minute time frame again, right? We're back and forth, grabbing sell side, grabbing buy side, grabbing sell side. So we do look like we have seek and destroy profiles. So we're going to need to see some follow through over here on NQ if we're going to see these shorts really start to step in. So we still have about 3 minutes or about 2 minutes until market open. All right, so let's stay patient today. Let's stay disciplined. Called out a trade last night in VIP. Called out two actually. First trade I took was a very small loss. Didn't get the follow through we wanted. And then the second trade I took ended up being a pretty good winner. So I'm a little bit in the profit today, just starting out. I'm not a lot. only like about 480 bucks in profit right now going into today. But any kind of leverage starting off a day for me is good. So it doesn't really matter what that number is. But just to let you guys know, I am starting out with a little bit of leeway, a little bit of leverage going into today. So let's see what the market has to offer us today, guys. How we all doing though? Everybody feeling good? Looks like we got a lot more people in here now. You guys ready for a good day? That is a lot of McChickens. You are correct. You would be correct. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it, guys. All right, market's opening in just 1 minute. You guys know we're going to have to play some music. We're going to have to chill out. Let's have a good time today. Let's take it easy. Good morning, Frank. All right, so market's opening here in just a few minutes. Let's looking at the 5 minute here. We did come down and sweep some equal lows down here on the sell side. Equal lows on the sell side. So right now we're just seeking destroy. So we're gonna just kind of, you guys know, we're gonna have to wait for price action to clear up. We're gonna have to wait for some real moves. We're gonna have to wait for some momentum. Good morning, Johnny. What's up, Glenn? Salazar. Yeah, true with inflation. Not as many McChickens as you could have bought 10 years ago. So kind of like yesterday, Salazar. Yeah, I didn't go in a full position at all yesterday. I kept it very light. I plan on doing something similar today unless we see, good enough price action to where I can have a decent sized stop loss. If we see good enough price action where I can have a good stop loss and I can have good risk management, I will go into a full position. But as of right now, I plan on scaling in pretty small here. All right, so the market is opening. 15-minute did close, respecting this 15-minute busy so far. Remember, we do have this 15-minute SIBI right above. So this might be one of those times where we're going to have to wait for us to, push through the busy or the SIBI here. Push through the busy or the SIBI. All right, we're in between those two levels here. 5 minute just came down and swept equal lows. So we're going to want to see continuation down the sell side for the shorts to start stepping in. We're going to want to see some good entry levels if we are going to find a good short position here. Okay, that was a good first candle. Good strong down close candle here. Very strong down close candle at market open. It's almost already looking kind of like yesterday. We're getting a lot of momentum down to sell side already, right off the bat. All right, we're forming a 1 minute SIBI right here. So might even be looking for a trade a little bit earlier today, just depending on how we're looking. But if you guys remember yesterday, I was calling out the shorts before market open, and the shorts ended up dumping like 400 ticks before we could even find an entry. Since we're looking for shorts again, since we have a lot of momentum today, I might be looking for an entry a little bit quicker, but it just depends on how price action is looking, because it's already looking different than it did yesterday. Right? We're not getting the follow through yet, so probably just gonna have to wait. We're probably gonna have to be patient. Notice how we did not form that fair value gap. We just got a strong bounce up after grabbing liquidity. So we might have to be very patient. The other thing you guys know I did talk about was that we might trade up before we end up seeing a drop. So we got to be very patient today. Very, very patient. Let's stay patient. No reason to rush. No reason to rush today, guys. All right, so notice how when we take equal lows, we wick down, we don't close below. We're seeing a strong rejection back up to buy side. But we are in between busy SIBI on the 15-minute time frame. So what we'd have to wait for, let's say we did want to see the longs come in after grabbing internal lows, grabbing equal lows. We'd want to wait for us to really push through this 15-minute SIBI, really start pushing through, inversing it, and then we'd want to look for an entry targeting these highs and ultimately targeting those highs going into the 15 or into the 4 hour. Because right now, my bias is still very bearish, right? So this would I'd only want to see a long position be manipulation today. I'd only want to see the longs be manipulation. I don't want to see the longs. I wouldn't want to see the longs be the trend, right? That's not really what I'm looking for. If they end up being the trend, well, then we'll just adjust our plan and we'll look for some longs. But right now, any longs that I see, I want that to be manipulation. I'm expecting it to be manipulation just for us to come back down. Yes, D-shot this. So we're in a 5-minute busy. We're in a 15-minute busy. And then we have a 15-minute civvy above. So we've got a bunch of levels above and below where we're sitting right now. So we're really going to have to stay patient here. Really going to have to stay patient this morning. Have a good time. Yeah, so on the 1-minute time frame, you are correct, honest money, right? We had all of these equal lows that we came and took out already. And then we have these relative equal lows down here. So we do have a lot of relative equal lows that we are looking for price to come down, right? We already took these ones, but now we want to see if we're going to come back down for these ones. And then on ES, we have some relative equal lows down here on higher time frames. So ES is already looking pretty bearish here. ES is already looking pretty bearish. Let's see if NQ is going to start following, right? We might have to wait for our 15-minute opening range to be created just to kind of see if we're going to fight through the busy or the civvy here on the 15-minute time frame. Once we fight through either the busy or the civvy, we'll have a better understanding of where price wants to go, right? Because if we can close below this 15-minute busy and even this 15-minute busy, we're going to have a lot more conviction that these shorts are really going to step in. And if we're going to close above this 15-minute civvy, we have more conviction that the longs might want to come up and grab some buy side. But what would not be a good idea right now is to force an entry while we're in between these ranges, in between these imbalances, I should say, until we have our entry model, until we have our conviction. So that's why I'm waiting. Even if I want to see the shorts come in right now, I need to wait for a good entry model for some conviction, for the shorts to really tell me, you know, that I need to be taking them, right? The VIX is opening up a little bit bullish. The VIX is looking a little bit bullish right now. So that's a good sign for these shorts. Okay, we're getting a strong down close candle here. Strong down close candle. We're starting to get a little bit of confirmation, but now we just need to see some fair value gaps created. Right, but that's looking pretty good right now. That bounce off the 15-minute civvy. Very solid bounce off that civvy. Now what we need to do is we need to come down and close below both of these 15-minute busies here. Because here's the deal. Even if we don't get in on the initial move right now, taking out these lows, we can still look to get in the next move, taking out previous day low. Right? That's why I don't get worried about missing out on the initial move. Because there could still be opportunity. I'd rather wait for my conviction. I'd rather wait for my confirmation before jumping into a trade just because I want to get into a trade. So we're forming right now another 1-minute civvy here. At least we're trying to. Let's see if we actually do. Okay, let's see what happens when we trade into it. Let's see if we get an actual reaction off of it. Are we going to get an actual reaction off of this 1-minute civvy? If we do, I might look to target an entry already, guys. I'm going to target an entry here, guys. I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to be quick. I got filled pretty low. The reason I'm getting an entry already, being a little bit more aggressive, is because I already have room to play with. But if this one's coming up too quick, I'm going to have to cut this one. Let's see where I can put my stop loss. Let's see what our first TP would be at the 100 ticks. So I can't really keep too wide of a stop loss here, guys. Just because I got my entry a little bit lower than I would have wanted. But the only reason I'm being this aggressive right now is because I already have some leverage to play with right now, right? So 19,918, 50 will be my stop loss. And I'm just going in half a lot. I'm not going in a full position. This is just an aggressive entry Small stop loss here. Just seeing if we can catch this initial breakout, right? So 19,880.50 would be the first TP level. But it's looking like it's kind of stalling here. It might not want to break out. Might not want to break out here. So again, if you don't like the stalling, if you don't like, how we're kind of just waiting here, we might need to cut this one if it doesn't start to fall pretty quick here. We need to see this one kind of start to fall already. Here we go. So I might even just move my stop down a little bit here. If this one comes up, if this one's going to come back up right now, then I will just cut it. But I'm going to keep holding for now. And then maybe just move my stop loss to break even here, guys. I'm just going to move my stop to break even, honestly. I'm just going to make this risk-free. First trade of the day. It's higher risk. So it's going to be a risk-free trade here. Risk-free trade. We're almost at first TP. You guys could already take a TP if you had a smaller stop loss than me. We're almost at that first TP level. We almost hit it already. There we go. All right, first TP just got taken. First TP just got taken already, guys. So there's our winning trade. There's our winning trade already. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep holding this one runner all the way down to previous day low to see if we're going to get that continuation down here. Again, you could sell everything if you want to, but I'm only in one runner, so I'm just going to let this one go. That's a good way to start off our day. That's a little bit quicker than I normally take my first trade. But that's a quick win right there, right? Quick 100 ticks. Yeah, we learned yesterday to take our profit when we have it, right? Taking profits when we have it. Taking profits when we have it. So this one could come back and stop me out of break even since we did just take out that liquidity level here. We did just take out that liquidity. We might see some manipulation back up before we see continuation. But that's all right. I only have one runner in. But notice how we took out some equal lows. ES is dropping very aggressively here. ES is dropping very aggressively. Guys, I might even just try to add one more in here. If we start to see a little bit of a drop, if not, then I'm going to get stopped at break even either way. And all right, so break even stop there. So that was a good quick win right there. Good quick win. So just a quick 100 ticks. That's a good way to start off our day. All right, so now we have even more leverage to work with here. Now we have some more leverage to work with. And yeah, we could wait for our 15-minute opening range to take our next entry, right? Because we did just take out those equal lows. So now we're expecting price to come down for previous day low, but we might want to be a little bit more patient here and to wait for our next entry. But good first trade there, guys. Good first trade. We bring the boom. Hey, no reason, AZ Sunshine, to be ashamed. I never want to hear that word again. There's no reason. No reason to be ashamed of yourself. We all make mistakes, and we just learn from them. That's all it is. All right, so this one obviously could keep dropping, but I wasn't going to keep my stop. If I had a better entry, I would still be holding this one, obviously. But since I got a lower entry, can't really keep holding this one. But if you are still holding this one, this one could keep dropping here all the way down to previous day low. So good stuff, guys. Good stuff. That's how we start off our day. Look at these shorts still trying to step in here. Shorts are still trying to step in. Hey, I mean, look at me as an example yesterday, Z Sunshine. I had a trade that we were over 250 ticks. I didn't take profit, got stopped at break even. I had a trade that we were over 150 ticks. I didn't take profit and got stopped at break even. And then I took a few losing trades and ended up red on the day when I could have very easily ended up with a very profitable day, right? So we all make mistakes. It happens. You just got to learn from it and move on. That's all it is. Even though that was my plan, I still probably should have taken profit, right? Yeah, I mean, I was looking for that big move, right? I was looking for that big move. And it's different. If I would have been in a full position in those trades yesterday, I for sure would have taken a profit. But since I only added into a half a position, that's why I was looking for the bigger move, for that 300 plus tick trade before I took a TP. But it happens, right? I'm not going to be upset. I made my decision and I moved on. But there's also things we can learn from. Today I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take my profit when I have it, because if I didn't take my profit on this trade, I would have gotten stopped at break even. and I would have missed out on the profit on this trade. So even from yesterday, I just kind of changed my plan going into today. Even though I expect us to come all the way down to previous day low, like what's happening right now, I still wanted to take my profit. Right? It'd be different if I had my entry up here where I wanted it to be. Obviously, I got filled lower. I did not get in my sell position quick enough. Then I would probably still be holding this trade all the way down to previous day low. But now I'm just going to wait for a re-entry. Right, we're about to create our 15-minute opening range. When does our first news come out? Our first news comes out. Well, we have FOMC member speaking at 10:05, and then 10:30 is not. That's not our next news. Isn't until really 10:30. That's our orange folder news. Yes, that is an order block. Honest money. So this level right here, the up close candle on our strong downtrend, is our order block. This is our bearish order block that we want to see price trade back into and get a reaction off of. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good way to start off our day right there, guys. Great way to start off our day. Right, our trade from last night and then our trade this morning. So now we've got some good buffer. And even though, you know, I traded half a lot, that's still some good profit on that trade. Still some good profit, and I really liked that setup. I really did. We expected price to start selling off pretty quick, just like yesterday. Hey, there we go. Getting your 4th XFA. And you're up 1,000 on... Dude, let's go. Let's go, Mike. That's what I'm talking about, man. Dude, that's like all I cared about yesterday, guys. Even though I didn't end up being green on the day, all I cared about was the fact that all of you guys, like pretty much every single one of you, were either getting a bunch of money on your funded accounts or you were passing your evaluation accounts or you're growing your live account. Like, that's what I truly cared about. Well, that's awesome. Good stuff, RC Coin. Thanks for pointing that out. Thanks for pointing that out for Honest Money. All right. Well, 15-minute opening range has been created. We've already traded below the opening range. We're almost at previous day low. ES has already taken previous day low. But I'm expecting us to really start dropping again here, guys. Look at that. Look how I talked about, right? I said, which fair value gap are we going to inverse? We inverse both of our bullish fair value gaps. We now have our 15-minute bearish breaker that we talked about pre-market. High, low, higher, high, displacement of the lows. So this down close candle is our 15-minute bearish breaker. Right there. Bearish breaker block. So now we want to see price trade back into that. We want to see us come back up into that 1-minute OB, into that 15-minute breaker, and we want to find another short entry down to previous day low. That's what we're looking for. Definitely can get a double chunk chocolate cookie. Yep, that is facts. That's what I'm talking about. I got you, Mike. I got you. I remembered. I was like, you know what? Mike Easy probably has to take his daughter to daycare soon. Should probably get in a trade before that happens. That was like my first thought this morning. All right, guys. So now we're waiting for pullback up into this 15-minute bearish breaker, up into this 1-minute bearish order block. We also have this 1-minute bearish fair value gap right here. And I'm going to look for another short entry off of this level. Right around this level is where I want to get my re-entry. We are in a 1-minute SIBI right here as well. We do have some big SMT. Now that ES swept previous day low and NQ did not, we do have some SMT, but I still expect NQ to really come down for those lows. But I would like to see us trade into that breaker. I would really like to see us trade into that breaker and then come down and break out of our opening range to the sell side. So what am I going to wait for? I'm going to wait for us to trade up into this fair value gap and wait for a good reaction off of that level. Possibly even wait for a bullish fair value gap to be created on the 1-minute. And then wait for us to trade through that bullish fair value gap, inverse it. That would be an ideal level to get an entry. Okay, there we go. So we just traded into the 1 minute OB. Let's see if we can trade into this 15-minute bearish breaker and the 1 minute bearish for value gap here. Boom, we just traded into it. So what I would really like to see us do now, right? We know where this order block is, right? It's this candle right here. We're seeing some strong bullish momentum, but what I would like to see us do is come back down and inverse a 1 minute busy here after getting a reaction off the 15-minute bearish breaker. We are seeing a very strong pump after getting our daily SMT, which is one thing that I don't like. One thing that I don't like right now, if we're going to run through our 15-minute bearish breaker, well, I'm not going to be looking for shorts anymore, right? That's when I'm going to start looking for longs. Okay, we're getting some strong bullish order flow right now. Strong bullish order flow. Okay, all right. So it looks like these longs might start stepping in here pretty soon. Or they're already stepping in. So let's see. Again, we still have a lot of time left on this 15-minute candle. So as long as we're respecting this 15-minute bearish breaker, my bias is still short. But if we continue to push up through a 5-minute imbalance, through a 5-minute, 15-minute bearish breaker, we start really creating a lot of bullish order flow, well, then I will look to target a long position. I will look to target a reversal. But right now, my bias is still bearish. It's still bearish right now. So I'm still looking for the shorts until I'm really proven that the longs are going to take control. All right. Well, let's get some music going. We'll get some music going. We'll chill out a little bit. And we'll wait for our next trade. We will wait for our next trade. Okay. None of that, King Plot. Alright, so now we have a few big bullish for value gaps. We have this one big 1 minute here. Alright, so we already got our win on the day. So now we're just looking for our next trade setup, guys. Now we just stay patient. Now we just stay patient for our next trade. I got you deep. Deep, I'm not finding that song. I'm not finding that song. Mike, yes, so on the first fair value gap created. So are you talking about this one or are you talking about this one down here? So my analysis for both of these fair value gaps is if we get a strong reaction off of this 1 minute and we continue to make bullish order flow and push through these bearish fair value gaps, I am now looking for a long position. I'm catching the reversal up to these highs. If we're going to run through this 1 minute fair value gap, I am now looking for shorts to target right back down to previous day low. So now we have to really wait for what kind of reaction we're going to get off this fair value gap. I got you, Jay Lee. Hey, there you go. Brought it out of drawdown. That's what I'm talking about. False pretender. False pretense. False pretense. I read that wrong. Okay. So we're just waiting right now, guys. We're waiting to see which side is going to win. Are we going to respect our bullish order flow and continue higher? Or are we going to still bounce off of this 15-minute bearish breaker and get continuation down the sell side to finally take out previous day low? I got you, Shosky. I got that queued up. I'm looking right now for that song Deep. All right, I got that queued up for you, Deep. All right, so now we're going to be patient, guys. We got to really wait for our next setup here. I want to see if we're going to start running through this 1 minute busy. If we start running through this 1 minute busy and creating some bearish for value gaps, that's when I'm targeting shorts again. We did inverse this 5-minute SIBI, just barely. But we're still respecting our 15-minute bearish breaker right now. We would want to see this hourly come down and close with some strong displacement of these lows. That's what I would like to see in like the next 5 minutes. We're just kind of chopping around right now. Chopping around going into our new hourly candle. Hey, what's up, NQ Sniper? Yeah, we've taken one trade. We took a short here for 100 ticks. I went in half a position, sold 2 at 100, and then got stopped at break even with my runner. So 1 win so far today. Are we at OTE right now? I gotta add my OTE levels. We are at OTE. We are at OTE of this range in a bearish for value gap. 100%. So our news is it is coming out at 10:05. It's an FOMC member. It's yellow folder. So I'm not expecting anything too crazy to come from that. What I'd be expecting more volatility to come from our orange folder news at 10:30. OTE is optimal trade entry. So when we pull out our Fibonacci retracement tool like this, I go from the range, right, from this 1 minute range, high to low. And our OTE is going to be the 0.62 on the fib to the 0.79 on the fib. So when we see price coming back into OTE, this is a level that we want to see price come back into and get a reaction off of. We look for a fair value gap or an order block in this level, and then we wait for price to trade back into the OTE because it's a premium of this range, and then come back down. But I have a video about OTE in my in Joe's lessons if you want to go check that out. So if you're a little confused on it, you can go check out that video. Yeah, so Rob, at 10:05 we have a Fed speaker, and then at 10:30 we have some orange folder news, and that is going to be, what is our 10:30? It's crude oil inventories. So not expecting any crazy volatility from either of those. So whenever I refer to it, I usually say things in Eastern time because that's what most people refer to in the stock market. Right? Yeah, so when I say 10 a.m., that's referring to Eastern time, guys. Eastern time. I myself am on Mountain time, but I refer to pretty much everything in Eastern or Pacific time. But when you hear me talking about news, it's always going to be Eastern time. All Alright guys, so the chop is real right now. We're probably going to have to wait for this hourly candle to close. So we're still in this 1 minute SIBI, still respecting VWAP. We're just chopping around like crazy, so we're really going to have to wait here. Yep, battling between a 1 minute SIBI and a 1 minute busy. We're just pretty much waiting for that new hourly candle to form here. So a long pullback, big pullback on the hourly, not really any follow through here. And then just looking at our opening range, we did not break through our opening range low. And then we do have our opening range high up here at the top of that candle. Here's your song, Deep. Here's your song request. Alright, so we got like 40 seconds until this hourly closes, so let's just wait for this hourly to close. I do look at the opening 1 hour candle for sure. It's a good thing to look at. What I like to look at going into after our first hour, I just like to look at our hourly range. So it doesn't necessarily have to be our opening hourly candle, but I like looking at our opening range of our hourly. So like our hourly high to low, right? So like our hourly high to low right now would be this high up here. We don't have a clear hourly range right now, technically, but I do like looking at this hourly range. We want to see us break out of this hourly chop, right? This hourly accumulation. Did we close above? All right, so we closed above our breaker on the 15 minute. So now we just got to wait and see which side wins. I didn't watch the VP debate because I was busy watching something more important, the Padres playoff game. But I saw some videos and stuff from the debate. But from what I saw, it did look like both of them were so much more well-spoken than our presidential candidates. Okay, guys, so what am I looking for here? If we're going to inverse this 1 minute SIBI, I'm going to start looking for longs. Yeah, that's what I noticed from the videos I saw. It seemed like they actually like spoke respectfully to each other and actually talked about real stuff that they were going to do for the country. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something that you would think would be just normal. You would think that any presidential candidate would speak like that, but not in this day and age. All right, guys, so we really got to stay patient right now with this choppiness here. This chop is real right now. We gotta wait through this. Don't force entries inside of this chop. Chop City. We in Chop City right now. Yep, I agree with you, AZ Sunshine. I agree. I agree. That's why I say, you know, don't live in fear of what our government, you know, it's good to be aware. It's good to be informed of what's going on. It's good to do what you can do. But to me, I will never live in fear because of a presidential candidate, unless that presidential candidate was like actually took over the country. That's different. But yeah, our media just fear mongers. So I don't live in fear. What happens is going to happen. It's all in God's control. So I just do my thing. All right, guys, we're going to inverse this 1 minute SIBI right here. So we look pretty bullish now. We look like we're getting that full reversal here. Looks like we want to come up for these highs. We are in that 15 minute SIBI now. So we want to see us start breaking out of our opening range high if we're going to see these longs come in. And we want to target this high up here, and we want to target this high up here going into that 4 hour. If these longs are truly going to step in here. Which right now it kind of does look like they want to. Alright, longs are stepping in pretty aggressively here. Pretty aggressively. So what would I wait for? If we're starting to break out of opening range, I would wait for some pullback into a 1 minute fair value gap now that we're in silver bullet. I would wait for us to pull back into a 1 minute and look to target a long position. But if we're going to be seeking destroy today, then I would expect us to come right back down after sweeping this high. So this is a tough spot to look for an entry because we are in a 15-minute SIBI here. But it does look like these longs want to start breaking out and grab some buy-side liquidity. Alright, so this is where we start thinking about taking a long. We think about it. Doesn't mean we're for sure going to take a long. We just start looking for our entries. Could be a range day, yeah. It could be. After such a strong bearish day yesterday, we could see a range day today. Alright, so we're just kind of sitting right around our 15-minute opening range high now. This is kind of a key level because if we're not going to break out of our opening range high, that means we're probably going to range internally for the whole day, or at least for the whole AM session. What does it mean to range internally? That just means ranging on our internal levels like the 15, the 5 minute, the 1 minute inside of our opening range. We're probably just going to range back and forth between these levels all day if we don't see a breakout. So this is where we want to start looking for a reaction off this 1 minute busy to start looking for longs. If we're not going to see a reaction off of here, we're not going to look for longs. So we've really got to stay patient here because we're still trading off of a 15-minute SIBI and we just came up to opening range high. And we bounced off of both those levels after sweeping buy-side liquidity. So this is where we got to be very patient here. If we start seeing a good reaction up to the highs, I will look to target a long position. But we do have a lot of resistance up here. Yeah, we tapped into a 5-minute SIBI, 15-minute SIBI, opening range high, and we're seeing a strong rejection off both of those levels. So I would need to see a strong bounce from here if I was going to target the longs here. Because if not, we might actually target the shorts back down to the bottom of our range. Alright. Longs do not want to step in here. So now what do we look for? If we want to target a scalp down to the bottom of the range, let's say the shorts do come in, we want to see us close below this 1 minute busy, get inversion of the 1 minute busy, close below VWAP, and then target a short down to the lows. So right now we're just waiting for which side is going to take control here. Which side is going to take control? We're still respecting the 1 minute busy. We're bouncing off of VWAP. So I want to see now, okay, if we're going to create a 1 minute SIBI here, if we're going to create a 1 minute SIBI, if we come up and inverse that 1 minute SIBI, that's what gives me a little bit more conviction to jump in along. Right? If we're going to see us come up and close above this 1 minute SIBI, that's when I'm really looking to target a long position. And that's when I'd be looking to target the opening range breakout to the highs up to this swing high up here, to our hourly high. So if we start pushing through this, I will look for a long entry. But if we're going to bounce from it, I will stay out. Just waiting. We can't seem to push through that 1 minute SIBI. Alright, so right now respecting our bearish fair value gap, but we still could push through this level right now. Okay, no inversion of it yet. Still respecting it. If we start pushing through it pretty soon, I will look for the longs. Looks like we're going to start pushing through. I'm going to target a long entry. I got filled again, guys. I got filled really high on that entry. I do not like that entry whatsoever here. I'm just going to keep my stop down at 19,942.25, but I do not really like that entry. I don't like how high I got filled. That is not a good fill. So let's see if we do break out from here. If not, I might just have to cut this one. That was just not the best entry. Kind of like my original entry was not the best either, but we still caught a good trade. So we really need to see this one breaking out here. We got to see inversion now. We got to see us close. We got the inversion. Now we need to see a bounce. We got to see a bounce off this inverse fair value gap. We do not want to see price come down and manipulate us out here. We want to see us really start to push through our opening range now. It does look like we want to get that opening range breakout here up to this hourly high. It's starting to look like we do. So I'm going to keep my risk where it's at right now, but as we start to move up, I'll start de-risking. If we are going to push up above this high, I'll move my stop up, or I'll just keep trailing it. So my first TP would be technically 20.10.25 would be technically my first TP. But you guys can see we're kind of stalling here. We're not really pushing through. We're not getting this crazy reaction. So the more we stall and the more we kind of chop, I will probably just cut this position, right? If we're not going to see that breakout right now. Again, my risk is pretty small in this trade, so I'm not too worried. But this one is not looking like we're getting that follow through, so we might get stopped here. Might get stopped. We're pretty close to our stop. So we're starting to chop a lot now. We're starting to chop a lot. We're almost back to break even. So again, if you want to cut this position, you can always cut it around break even, take a small loss. At this point, I'm going to keep holding as long as structure is holding bullish. I'm going to keep holding this because I know what my risk is on this trade. So my first TP will actually be at 20.10.75 technically. So that's a good push now. Now we just need to see us close above these highs, and then I will start to move my stop loss up. If we can see this continuation, guys. We need to see some continuation here. That was a good close on that 1 minute candle. I just don't like the chop. I need to see us really start pushing out of this opening range high. Because this could be a really solid opening range breakout trade up to our hourly high. So as we start to push through this high, if we do push through this high, I will just start moving my stop to break even and make it a risk-free trade. You guys can see we're stalling a lot at this opening range high right now. We got to see us just start to explode. We got to see us start to break out like crazy right now. Hey, what's up, Mark? God bless you, brother. Good to see you, man. Man, we are stalling a lot. It makes sense that we are stalling at this 15-minute opening range level, right? That was a good close. I just don't like all of the stalling right now. So if this one starts to come down super aggressively, then I will just cut it right now, right? If this one comes down super aggressively, it looks like it's targeting our stop loss, then I will just cut this position. And I'll wait for the next trade setup. Alright, kind of like this candle. If this candle's coming down very aggressively here, and we're pushing down too hard, then I will just cut the position. Like this, like this. I'm thinking about cutting here pretty soon. As if we don't see a reaction pretty soon here, I will just cut this. We need to see a reaction off this 1 minute bullish order block here. Man, the stalling is crazy right now. The stalling is absolutely crazy. We're still holding. We're still holding right now, so I'm still holding this trade. As long as we're holding this position right now, I will still hold this. This is a tough hold right now, though. This chop is pretty bad. But we did not see an aggressive down close candle yet, so I will still hold on to this until we really start pushing down. So this is when I start to think about cutting it now. I might have to cut this one, guys. Might have to cut this one. We're going to watch how this candle plays out. We're going to watch how this candle plays out right now. The chop is unreal. All right, I'm just going to cut it. I just cut it, guys. I just cut it. We're going to have to wait for a re-entry here. We're going to have to wait for a re-entry because the chop is ridiculous. We're not seeing that fall through. So just taking a small loss, cutting that one. And I'm going to wait for price action to get better. You guys could see, right? We had a great reaction off of our inverse fair value gap. We're still respecting that fair value gap right now. But when I see us struggling to push through our opening range high, I really don't want to hold on to that trade as we're just kind of chopping, stalling, chopping. Because now what we might do is we might see a little turtle soup where we come down and grab this internal low right here and then see us push, right? So that's not really one I'm going to hold on to right now. Yeah, pretty trash price action here at the highs. So we're going to have to wait for the next entry. Notice how we did close. We just closed, still respecting that 15-minute SIBI. Still respecting the 15-minute SIBI, so now we're going to have to wait. Now we will just wait for the next one. Wait for price action to clear up a little bit. Yeah, exactly. That 15-minute SIBI is holding us down right now, right? 15-minute SIBI is holding us down. So let's wait for us to stop chopping. We'll wait for us to stop chopping, and then we'll look for our next trade. Yes, I got you, underdog. I got you. All right, but that's what I'll do with these trades. When I start to see price chopping and stalling, like I said to you guys, I'll wait and see if we get that reaction still because I still like the setup. But when we see that stalling and we see price coming down aggressively, I'll just cut that trade before taking a full stop loss. I'd much rather do that. Much rather just hold on to my profit. Much rather hold on to my profit than, keep holding when price action is not worth holding. Like right now, we could very easily still break out to the longs. Very easily break out to the longs still. Because we're still holding that 1-minute inverse. But the 15-minute SIBI is what's really holding us down. So I'm just going to wait for the next one. Chop season is right. Chop season is right now. This is even if these longs do end up breaking out, I would rather wait for better price action anyways. All right, I still think our analysis is pretty good right now. I still think there's a strong potential that these longs do break out here. I still liked our trade setup. I still think it's a valid trade setup. We just didn't see the price action we needed to see, right? So now we're starting to look like we're going to break out. But this is now when we start looking for a re-entry. If we can form another 1-minute bullish for value gap and we can get displacement above these highs, that's when we think about a re-entry point. So let's see if these longs are actually going to step in here, or if we're going to keep chopping. All right, this is our opening range high right here. So now I'd be looking for a fair value gap entry if we see strong displacement above these highs. Right, somewhere like this, where now we're not looking for as much reward, but we're still looking for a good trade setup. All right, so now we're starting to get more conviction here if these longs are going to really show displacement. Now we just need to see pullback into a fair value gap. All right, so our first TP, we'd be looking at 20, 10, 7, 5. And then if we really broke out of that level, we'd be looking for next TP up here at about 20, 81, 50, up into that 4-hour SIBI above. All right, so fair value gap is created. Bullish order flow is stepping in. Now we just got to wait and see if we get pullback. If we don't, we can't get involved in this trade. I will not be chasing this trade up here. I'll be waiting for pullback, and if it runs away from me, it runs away. Oh well. That just means we had the right analysis on the original trade. That's fine. So far, analysis is playing out exactly how we expected it to be right when we got our entry. We just saw us chop around for a while before that happened. So remember, this is the hourly high I'm talking about up here. This is the hourly high I'm talking about up here. And then our next TP would be this hourly high up here. But we still got to see displacement because so far all we've done is range in the hourly. This hourly range has been pretty bad. So we got to see this hourly really break out of the highs. Or else we will just take this high and come right back down for the lows. What up, Gabe? We've taken 2 trades. Yeah, we took one short down here for a 100-tick winner. And then we just took this longs. We just took the longs here. There's a TP, guys. We took the longs here, but got kind of chopped out. I ended up selling my position early, just cutting it because of the chop. And now we see price actually break out to our TP level. So our analysis was exactly on point here. We got the opening range breakout. So this is what we expected. But now we just took that hourly high. So we got to see if we're going to get continuation up to our next hourly high or not. Yeah, chop sucks. The chop sucks sometimes, but it's a part of the game. It's a part of the game. You just got to deal with it. That's why we keep our risk small. That's why we're keeping our risk pretty small here. Could see another entry off of this 1-minute fair value gap if we're going to bounce. If not, we're going to come down and completely reverse down to sell side after taking this hourly high. So if we start seeing inversion of a bunch of bullish fair value gaps, that's when we're going to start to target the shorts again, all the way back down to the low of the range. Yep, exactly. It's all a part of it. The chop is what we got to deal with sometimes. And sometimes it's unfortunate our timing, right? Because we had really solid price action. We got a decent entry. Might not have been the best entry level, but we had the exact right idea. But price kind of just chopped us out. Yeah, if we start getting inversion of these 1-minute fair value gaps, that's when I'm starting to target the shorts. Okay, so we just inversed that 1 minute here. Now we've got this 1 minute here. Hey, that's fine, Deep. 15 consecutive profitable trades is actually so impressive, man. That is so impressive. Good stuff. That's amazing. Hey, that's still that same account that we gave you, right? For the prop from giveaway? Yes, let's go. Let's go. Using that prop from giveaway to have 15 consecutive winning days on a PA is amazing. Happy birthday, Dan. Happy birthday. All right, guys, so this is now when we start thinking about taking the shorts here. Because now we just grabbed that hourly high. It looks like we might have some AMD here. Let's see if we're going to start running through all these bullish levels. We might be able to catch a long or a short position because we are kind of still seeking destroy profile. We might be able to catch a short all the way back down to these lows. Hey, wow. You have your Express up 3,300 deep? Dude, let's go. Let's go. That's amazing. Are you going to take a payout? You going to take a payout on that? How much do you want to grow it to before you take a payout? Thank you, King Plot. I really appreciate that. Minimum 6K. All right, man. Keep it going. Keep it going. All right, guys. We have this 1 minute Sibby now. We just inversed another 1 minute busy. This is when I start thinking about a short here. Okay, we tapped into the Sibby. We tapped into the Sibby. I might think about taking a short here, guys. I'm going to short this. I'm going to short this right now. I'm getting in the shorts. I'm going to keep my stop above. I know we still have some support down below us, but this looks like a full-on change in the state of delivery. This looks like we're starting to get some bearish price action. This is an aggressive entry, though. This is still aggressive. If we're going to push up through this fair value gap, then I'll just take the loss and move on. But I still like these shorts right now, guys. I'm getting aggressive. I'm getting aggressive on these shorts. I know we have VWAP right here, but I'm getting aggressive here. And we're looking to catch the reversal all the way down. Probably look for a first TP around VWAP. Probably around this low. Look for a first TP here. Because now we still are in that 1 minute busy. We got to push through this 1 minute busy. I don't like that reaction off the busy so far. I don't like that reaction off the busy. So if this one's going to come back up too quick, we might have to cut this one again. Yeah, this one might come up for my stop here, guys. This one might come up for my stop. So again, I told you guys, aggressive entry, right? Aggressive entry. Aggressive entry. Very aggressive entry. I might get stopped out here. That's fine. That's okay. I'll just wait for the next setup again. All right, so I just barely got stopped out. I still like the shorts, though. I still like the reversal. I still like the reversal. I was just trying to get an aggressive entry on it. I didn't even wait for the market structure shift, which obviously that would have been the more conservative entry, waiting for us to get a market structure shift here. Right, but look at that pullback after grabbing buy-side liquidity. We have been seek and destroy all day leading up into market open. So now I'm just going to need to wait for more confirmation to get in another trade here. So the aggressive entry didn't pan out there. The aggressive entry did not pan out. That's okay. That's okay. I'll wait for the next one. All right, being a little bit more aggressive today, obviously. And now we're kind of running through. So this might require some more patience here. I might need to be a little bit more patient to take another trade. But you guys do got to understand, when you hear me say I'm taking an aggressive entry, if you don't want to take an aggressive entry, then don't take an aggressive entry. Like that's why I always say that. I always preface it by saying that. Yeah, exactly. King Plot, I was saying we're starting to get that CISD, right? That change in state of delivery. We didn't fully get it yet, which is why it was such an aggressive entry. I like candle range theory. I haven't done a crazy amount of research into it, but I do like it. All right, so we did not get the reversal. So price action's a little all over the place right now. I've watched one of his videos before. Maybe a few of his videos. All right, guys, so we're right back up to the highs again. Right back up to the highs. I wouldn't say I don't know enough about him to say if he's legit or not. But I forget what videos I've watched of his, but I do think there's a few videos I've seen of his that have been pretty legit. Alright, so these longs, after coming down, obviously the aggressive entry was a little aggressive, but we came down and inversed a bunch of bullish for value gaps. We took out an hourly high. We've been seek and destroy going from pre-market all the way until market open. Right, so that's why I was willing to look for a more aggressive entry in the shorts to try to catch a bigger move down to the lows. But now we're seeing price come right back up and inverse a bunch of bearish for value gaps. Hey, there you go, Tech Time. Look at all those PAs. Look at all those PAs. Beautiful. Alright, so now we got a bunch of 1-minute busies. We're about to inverse that 15-minute SIBI. So it looks like the longs are in control still. We're about to close above this 15-minute busy here. So let's see if these longs do stay in control. We got to see a strong bounce after the inversion. Got to keep our stop loss below this fair value gap. And we look to target all the way up there. So I would just want to get a better entry on this. I don't want to get another high entry if I was going to target a long right now. But it looks like the longs are still in control right now. The longs are still in control here. Looks like they might want to step in all the way up into that 4-hour SIBI. Okay, so we got full inversion of that 15-minute right down here, right? We inversed the 15-minute SIBI. So that's why I was thinking seek and destroy so far today, guys, because a few reasons. We came down. We grab sell side, we come back up, we grab buy side, we come back down, we grab sell side, we come back up, we grab buy side, right? So it's been so back and forth, which is why I've been thinking it's more seek and destroy. But now we got to see. We just inversed the 15-minute SIBI, so we might see these longs start to step in here. So I'm going to wait for this candle to see a good bounce off that fair value gap and possibly target a long. Possibly. Possibly target a long here. Alright, I like that reaction. I just don't like having my entry that high. I want to get a lower entry, but if this one does start to break out, I will get a higher entry on this. Looks like this one's trying to break out here. Okay, as we start to pump, looks like we're going to start to break out. I just want to get a lower entry on this, guys. I really want to get a lower entry. I do not want to get an entry all the way up here because I want to keep my stop loss below the fair value gap. So far, a lot of our time frames are looking good. We got to bounce off the 2-minute, off a 1-minute. So these longs look really good, guys. The longs are starting to look really good. I just need to be more patient for my entry here. As much as I want to jump into the longs right now, I need a lower entry. I'm not going to get my entry all the way up here. I'm not going to chase. But these longs are looking like they're about to break out. I will wait for pullback. You guys can see we're kind of stalling up here. We're kind of stalling. All right, Christian. Up 800. Very nice, man. We'll see you later. Here the longs go. The longs are about to break here. A little bit of SMT at the highs. ES still hasn't swept that Asia high, but this one really looks like we're trying to break out. Good order flow on the 2 minute and the 1 minute. I just want to wait for a better entry level. What I would wait for is either for a pullback back into the 1 minute or 2 minute fair value gap, or a breakout and then another fair value gap to be formed, and then take an entry off that fair value gap, because we still have a ton of reward all the way up to that 4 hour. We still are over 300 ticks away, so I'm not worried about that. A lot of stalling up here. A lot of stalling. Right back at that hourly high. These longs are really trying to break out right now, though, as you guys can see. Did anybody end up pulling the trigger on the entry? All right. All right, I'm riding with you in spirit right now. I'm riding with you in spirit. I'm riding with you in spirit. Like I said, guys, I just did not want to get my entry up here because of a possible pullback. Okay, so we just pulled back into this 1 minute. Does not mean I'm going to get my entry when we have an aggressive bearish candle. I need to see us actually like start to come down a little bit further and then bounce, or wait for inversion of a 1 minute SIBI. Okay, because now we're coming down kind of hard. So if we can start to bounce from here, I would think about getting a re-entry. Like that, I'm going to get my re-entry now, guys. I like that bounce. I like that bounce. I'm going to go in a full position here. Oh, my entry ended up getting way... This has been my my issue today, has been my entries. So I went in a full... So I'm going to keep my stop down below. But I really like that bounce. So I ended up actually having a higher entry than I probably would have off the initial trade. So my entries today is something I'm going to have to work on. I'm going to have to get those entries more dialed in. So I'll keep my stop down at 19,993. Let's see if this one starts to break out here. Let's see if this one starts to break out. Remember, we're trying to catch this one all the way up. All the way up to our 4 hour SIBI up here. If this one can't break out pretty soon, then again, this is just another one I'll have to cut. But I want to see that breakout start to happen. We got another great bounce off of the 1 minute and off the 2 minute imbalance. What we do want to do is we want to look to the left of our charts and see if we have some internal buy side liquidity to target. We are taking out a buy side right now. We are in a 5 minute SIBI here. So we got to see us really start pushing through this level. If we're not going to push through, we're not going to see that follow through here. Like, we got to break out very soon. We got to break out like ASAP. So I'd probably just be looking for a TP. I want to look and see if we have any 1 minute swing highs over here. Because we're not really breaking out. We're still coming back down and chopping here. I'd probably look for a first TP up at this swing high. Can we actually break out here, guys? Can we break out? The chop is real. The chop is real. The chop is real right now. Yeah, I don't know if this one's going to break out here, guys. This might be something that I just wait to come back and trade until later. Yeah, this one might come back down and target my stop loss here. So I'll probably, if this does stop me out, guys, I'm just going to come back later. I'm going to stop trading this session. Just because this price action has not been seeing the follow through I've been wanting to see it, see happen. We've just been seeing a lot of chop. Even after bouncing off of our key levels, seeing good entry levels. Personally, I've liked my entry levels. Obviously, my actual entries could be better. My actual entries could be much better for sure. Obviously, they've been a little bit high, but overall, I've been liking my entries. I've been liking my conviction in these trades. So we're right at break even. If this one's not going to break through, I'm going to leave this one. If I get stopped, I get stopped. What I'll do after, if I do get stopped, is I'll just wait, and I'm going to come back after. I'm going to come back after this session and look at the charts again and see if there's another trade set up for us, because I just need a little break after this with this price action. Yeah, with this price action, it's kind of brutal right now, guys. So I'm just gonna take a break. I'm going to clear my mind. Right? I've really liked my conviction in my trades, and we've just seen a lot of chop after getting our entries. Even though I've had my conviction, when that happens and I take a few losses, what I like to do is just kind of take a step back, get off the charts for a little bit, calm down, relax, and then come back to the charts with a clear mind again, right? So that's what I'll do right now. I'll come back once my mind is more clear, come back and look at the charts once the charts are more clear, and that's it. All right? So that's all I got for you. I know we didn't end it with a win, but remember, it's free all day, so we'll come back, and if I have some call-outs to give you, I will call out some trades. But I appreciate you guys for joining up. God bless you guys. God bless you. You guys stay safe. I'll talk to you all very soon, all right? I'll talk to you all very soon. All right, guys. Peace out.